I am Enix the Pirate, and I am an acquired taste. A lot of people have been asking me what my position is on the whole national healthcare thing. Although I do tend to possess a liberal viewpoint on most things, I must say now I do not agree with national healthcare. Allow me to explain myself. You see, I know this guy named Rizzo. Okay, fine, Rizzo's not his real name. It's actually a self-proclaimed pseudonym, sobriquet, cognomen, moniker. Rizzo grew up in the suburbs. Both of his parents made well over $100,000 a year. They lived in a nice house that they owned. Rizzo was the kind of kid who was handed everything growing up, and because of that, he didn't appreciate a damn thing he had. Like many suburban white kids, when he was a teenager, he became obsessed with Eminem and rap and the whole gangster culture. Which doesn't surprise me, because most young people tend to idolize gangsters because, well, gangsters are our generation's cowboys, and any outlaw who goes against a corrupt system that we all know is messed up tends to be idolized because, well, we don't have the courage to do the things that gangsters and cowboys, etc. do. So we listened to Eminem and Jay-Z and all these other rappers and became fascinated with drug culture. And even though he was the kind of kid who was handed everything in life, he was handed a car on his 16th birthday, he was given everything, it wasn't enough for him. Living the thug life was his dream, and he befriended many drug abusers and told himself that when he finally moved out of his parents' house, he wanted to deal drugs, because it seemed like a life of thrills, which is something that his life lacked. So when Rizzo was about 17 years old, he told himself that he wanted to go get some drugs and become a drug baron in Wichita, Kansas. Now the cool thing about Kansas is that Kansas has done away with most of their mental health programs that were funded by the state. Every mental institution, with the exception of one, which I like to call the Kansas equivalent of Arkham Asylum, had been shut down, phased out. Anyone with a mental disability who was committed to one of these hospitals was set free, set loose on society. Most of these people became homeless and cluttered the streets and became the trash of society. And because the state did away with all these programs for mental health funding, etc., the communities had no choice but to step up and try to fix this problem. In Wichita, Kansas, there's only one state-funded program that I'm aware of that will actually help people with mental disabilities. It's a place called ComCare. You can go into ComCare and you can get a diagnosis and prescription medication for next to nothing. Unless, of course, you're homeless, then all of these programs are free. There are a plethora of programs downtown aimed at helping the homeless. The problem is, all of these are Christian charity organizations. These organizations mean well, but they're staffed by volunteers who really have no idea what they're doing. But anyway, back to the story. Rizzo wanted to get started selling drugs on the streets of Wichita, Kansas, but he didn't know where to start, so he decided to take advantage of a broken system. He walked downtown to a place called the Drop-In Center and got an intake for free. He spoke with someone down there, and that person gave him a form to fill out called a homeless verification form. He was instructed that after he filled it out, he was to take it down to a Christian charity organization that fed the homeless and get it signed by one of the people who worked in that building. This place is called the Lord's Diner, which is essentially a place that feeds people for free every day. All you have to do is walk in, get in line, sign your name, and they will feed you. Usually homeless people, crack addicts, families who are struggling tend to go down there to get free meals. So Rizzo took this form down to the Lord's Diner where homeless people were eating for free and got it signed by one of the people who was staffed there. After he got this form signed, Rizzo took it back down to the Drop-In Center where they printed him off a homeless verification identification card. Now because Rizzo had this homeless verification identification card, windows opened up to him as a verified homeless person that would allow him to eat for free, sleep in places for free, and get free medication from ComCare, the only state-run program in the city of Wichita that was aimed at helping people with mental illnesses. So Rizzo walked down to ComCare and he flashed his homeless verification ID and he was seen by a doctor for free, diagnosed, and he was given groovy drugs for free. So Rizzo took this medication that he obtained for free onto the streets of Wichita, Kansas and began to sell these pills. And because he didn't pay anything for the pills, it was pure profit. Problem was, he was the new guy on the scenes and wasn't the only homeless person doing this. So many of the other homeless people considered him competition and would beat him up on a nightly basis, which was not fun for Rizzo. It occurred to Rizzo that what he was doing was probably not a good idea, so he was beaten and bloodied and went down to a homeless outreach program run by a man named Pastor Dan. Pastor Dan fed Rizzo, gave him a place to sleep for the night, and armed him with a knife. Yes, that's right, folks. There are churches in Wichita, Kansas that will arm homeless people with weapons to defend themselves. So now Rizzo had a knife, which meant he could go back to selling drugs on the street, and if any other homeless person wanted to pick a fight with him, Rizzo could defend himself and do some serious damage to other homeless people. As Rizzo continued his enterprise, homeless bodies began to stack up, but nobody knew about it and nobody cared, because nobody cares about the homeless and nobody goes searching for missing homeless people. So eventually Rizzo became the only one selling these prescribed drugs to people on the streets, and because he was the only one, it was essentially a monopoly and got to jack up his prices to whatever he wanted to sell the pills for. Pure drug profit plus monopoly equals drug baron. Rizzo didn't need to use any of this money he had to buy food or a place to sleep because it was provided for him because he had a homeless verification ID and there were community programs put into place by Christian organizations that were willing to help him out. So he was able to save up a couple $1,000s and he decided he didn't want to sell prescription drugs anymore. He moved on to bigger and better things, heroin, marijuana, PCP, etc. A year or so down the road, he finally bought himself a mansion, a couple nice suits, and everybody in Wichita knew who Rizzo was and knew he was the guy to go see for drugs. Eventually the FBI got wind of this and they busted him and he went to trial. During the course of the trial, Rizzo pleaded insanity. But because there was only one hospital in Kansas that was open to treat people with mental disorders, there was eventually no room for Rizzo at this hospital and he was eventually pushed back onto the street a couple weeks later. So now Rizzo was free to go back to doing what he was doing. Rizzo no longer had his mansion or his nice cars or his nice clothes, so he bought a trailer to avoid looking suspicious. The trailer that he obtained happened to be in a trailer park where my parents lived. Now I'm a frequent visitor of my parents' trailer because, well, my parents have a coffee pot and I do not. One day I was visiting my parents' trailer park and decided to take a stroll around the trailer park while smoking a cigarette with my brother and my brother's friend. We passed by Rizzo's trailer. Apparently Rizzo had grown disgusted with his life and decided to pack up all of his things, throw them out on the street for people to take for free. I walked by Rizzo's place, I had no idea who Rizzo was at the time, and looked at his boxes and thought he was having a garage sale. I looked inside one of these boxes and saw a very nice, shiny, brand new Sony Handycam camcorder with a 30GB hard drive and night vision. I was fascinated by the object and asked Rizzo how much he was going to charge me for the camera. Rizzo was depressed, fed up with his life, and decided to give away all these things for free and told me to just go ahead and take the camera. And so I did. I took it home with me. Rizzo, of course, was very depressed, and after he gave away everything he had, he eventually shot himself. I went into my parents' house and I took that camcorder, I recorded a video, and I uploaded it onto the 4th largest website on the internet, YouTube. Within months, I was uploading videos onto YouTube frequently. I had acquired a subscription base of thousands and thousands and thousands of people, which was a complete shock to me because I didn't think I was that interesting of a person. But because so many people enjoyed my videos, it raised my self-esteem and it motivated me to work on other creative projects. Within a month's time, I had my own website and thousands of people kissing my ass wondering when my next book was going to come out. And who knows, a year from now, I could star in a movie with Johnny Depp. And none of this ever would have happened if the United States of America had anything even resembling national health care.